You know what's absolutely wild? The people who need others the least. The ones perfectly fine sitting alone on a Friday night. The ones who don't need a crowd to feel alive. These people somehow end up attracting the worst kinds of human beings.
Picture someone who's always been comfortable in their own company. They don't post much on social media. They're not blowing up group chats. They have maybe one or two close friends they actually talk to. Then someone new enters their life. Could be through work, through a mutual connection, doesn't matter. And this person has problems. Big problems. Messy problems.
At first, it starts innocent enough. A casual conversation that turns into a confession. I'm going through something really difficult right now. The loner listens because that's what decent people do. They don't interrupt, they don't check their phone, they actually pay attention. And the person with problems, they notice this. They've found gold. The conversations get longer, more frequent, more intense. Late-night texts about their toxic ex, weekend calls about their impossible boss. Stories that somehow always need immediate attention. And here's the thing about loners. They don't have 15 other people constantly demanding their time. So they show up, they listen, they try to help. Not because they're naive, but because they genuinely care about people, just selectively. Months pass, maybe a year. The loner has absorbed hundreds of hours of someone else's chaos. They've given advice that was never taken. They've offered support that was never reciprocated. They become the unpaid therapist for someone who has zero intention of actually changing. Then something happens. The loner goes through something real, something devastating. They reach out, not dramatically, not demanding, just honestly. Hey, I'm actually struggling right now. I could use someone to talk to. And suddenly, silence. Or worse, a quick sorry, I'm dealing with my own stuff right now. The person who had endless time to trauma dump vanishes the moment the dynamic shifts, the moment the loner stops being useful. If you've ever been that person, sitting there realizing you were never actually someone's friend, you were just their emotional dumping ground, stay with me. Because what happens to people like this, what happens to loners who attract toxic people, it's not random, it's not bad luck. It's a pattern so predictable, it's almost mathematical.
If this is resonating with you, if you're realizing something about yourself or someone you know, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Because content like this, the kind that actually explores why loners attract toxic people, instead of just telling you to set boundaries, gets buried under algorithms that prioritize noise over depth. Your subscription tells the algorithm that this matters, that honest conversations about emotional exploitation deserve to be seen. So subscribe. Help me keep making videos that understand you instead of trying to fix you.
Here's the thing society doesn't want you to know. Being a loner doesn't mean you're antisocial. It means you're selective. It means you'd rather have silence than fake conversations. It means you've figured out something most people spend their whole lives avoiding, that you're actually pretty decent company for yourself. But the world sees that independence, that self-sufficiency, and toxic people see it as an invitation. Because in their eyes, someone who doesn't need anyone is someone they can control, someone they can break, someone they can own.
Let's start with the most obvious trap. Loners don't have a social army. Think about it. When someone's got 15 close friends, a huge family network, co-workers they actually like, toxic people stay away. Why? Too many witnesses. Too many people who will notice the red flags. Too many voices that'll say something's off. But a loner, they're operating solo. No backup, no safety net, and toxic people can smell it. They see someone without a big social circle and think, perfect, no one's going to interfere. Here's another layer. Loners tend to be observers. They watch, they listen. They don't jump to conclusions about people right away because they've probably been misunderstood themselves, so they give others the benefit of the doubt. Noble, right? Wrong.
Because while a loner is sitting there thinking maybe they're just having a bad day, the toxic person is testing boundaries, pushing limits, seeing how much they can get away with. The loner's patience gets misread as permission, their quietness gets misread as acceptance, and before they know it, they've tolerated behavior that should have been shut down immediately. Now, this is where it gets really twisted. Most people are desperate for validation. Likes, comments, compliments, invitations. They need external proof that they matter. Loners don't play that game. They're not chasing approval. They're not performing for an audience. And you'd think that would make them less attractive to toxic people. Nope, it makes them more attractive. Because to a narcissist, to a manipulator, someone who doesn't need attention looks like a blank canvas, someone they can shape, someone they can make dependent on them. The toxic person sees independence and thinks, challenge accepted.
Let's be honest about something. Toxic people are exhausting. They talk endlessly about themselves, their problems, their drama, their grievances, their theories about why the world is against them. And most people tune out. They interrupt, they change the subject. But loners, they listen. Not because they're pushovers, but because listening is what they do. They're comfortable with silence. They don't need to fill every second with their own voice. At first, the toxic person thinks they found someone who actually cares, but it doesn't stay wholesome. It becomes one-sided. It becomes emotional dumping. And when the loner finally needs to talk, the toxic person disappears.
Here's something people don't talk about enough. Insecure people, and toxic people are deeply insecure, cannot handle someone who's genuinely okay on their own. Think about it. When you don't need constant company, when you don't need validation, when you don't need someone to tell you you're good enough, you become a mirror. And that mirror reflects back all their inadequacies. So what do? They try to break you. They chip away at your confidence. They plant seeds of doubt. You're being too sensitive. You're overthinking things. Maybe you're the problem. They want to pull you down to their level where they feel in control again. The empath trap. Here's a hard truth. A lot of loners are empaths, the ones who feel deeply, who pick up on emotions like invisible signals, who can sense when something's off. And toxic people hunt empaths. Why? Because empaths do something most people won't. They try to understand. They try to help. They try to fix. When a toxic person does something awful, an empath doesn't immediately walk away. They think, but what if they're hurt? What if they're struggling? What if I can help them change? And that's the trap. The toxic person doesn't want to change. They want supply. Someone to absorb their chaos, forgive their behavior, and keep coming back for more.
Conflict avoidance that backfires. Loners don't usually like drama. They prefer peace. They prefer calm. So when conflict arises, when someone crosses a line, they let it slide. It's not worth the fight. Maybe it'll get better. I don't want to make things awkward. And you know who loves someone who avoids conflict? Toxic people. Because they know they can get away with murder, metaphorically speaking, and you'll just absorb it. They push a little further, then a little further, and by the time the loner realizes what's happening, they've tolerated way too much. They're exhausted. They're angry at themselves for not speaking up sooner.
Here's something twisted. Loners often look strong. They look self-controlled. They look like they've got it together. And that drives certain types of people absolutely insane. Narcissists, manipulators, control freaks. They see that quiet strength and they want to break it. Not because you did anything to them, but because your existence reminds them of what they're not. They want to prove that you're not as strong as you seem. They want to crack the surface. It's a sick game, a twisted power play, and the loner becomes the trophy in a competition they never signed up for.
Loners often don't broadcast their boundaries clearly, not because they don't have boundaries, but because they assume people will just behave like decent human beings. They think, I don't need to tell someone not to disrespect me, that should be obvious. And in a perfect world, yeah, it should be. But toxic people don't operate in a perfect world. They operate in a world where silence equals permission, where not saying no means yes, where lack of confrontation means they can do whatever they want. So when a loner doesn't explicitly state that behavior isn't acceptable, the toxic person hears nothing and runs with it.
Let's talk about the most messed up part. Loners are rare. In a world full of people desperate for attention, constantly performing on social media, chasing trends, needing validation, someone who genuinely doesn't care about any of that stands out. They're mysterious, they're deep, they're different. And toxic people want to own rare things. They want to be the one person who gets you, the one person you let in, the one person you need, not because they care about you, but because possessing something rare feeds their ego. You become a trophy, a conquest, a thing they can point to and say, "See, even that person needs me." It's not love, it's not friendship, it's ownership.
So here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Loners end up surrounded by toxic people because of the very qualities that make them decent human beings. Their calmness, their stability, their introspection, their empathy, their patience. All the things that should protect them actually make them targets. It's not fair, it's not right, but it's real. Toxic people don't go after the loud, confrontational, boundary-enforcing types. Those people are too much work. They go after the ones who will tolerate, who will listen, who will forgive. They go after the loners. But here's the part toxic people don't see coming. Loners don't stay surrounded by toxic people forever. At some point, something shifts. Maybe it's one too many boundary violations. Maybe it's the sudden clarity that comes from stepping back and seeing the whole picture. Maybe it's just exhaustion. Whatever it is, when a loner decides they're done, they're done. Not angry done, not dramatic done. They detach completely, permanently, irreversibly. No second chances, no explanations, no closure, no drama. They just disappear. And that's what toxic people fear in the long run. Because they know that once a loner sees through the manipulation, once they recognize the pattern, once they decide to cut ties, there's no bringing them back. You can't guilt trip someone who's already forgiven themselves for walking away. You can't manipulate someone who's no longer listening. You can't control someone who's already gone. Once you realize what's been happening, everything changes. You start recognizing the warning signs earlier, the love bombing, the boundary testing, the emotional dumping, the guilt trips. You start understanding that your kindness isn't a flaw, your empathy isn't weakness, your preference for peace isn't permission. You start building boundaries that aren't just lines in the sand, they're walls with locked gates. And you stop giving people the benefit of the doubt when they've already shown you exactly who they are. Because here's the thing about being a loner who's finally learned the lesson. You become untouchable. Not cold, not cruel, not bitter, just selective, protective, aware. You realize that your peace is worth more than anyone's presence, that your energy is sacred, that your time is limited. So why do loners end up surrounded by toxic people? Because they're everything toxic people want to exploit. Calm, stable, empathetic, patient, non-confrontational. But why do loners eventually escape? Because they're also everything toxic people can't ultimately control. Self-aware, independent, and unafraid of being alone. The toxic person thinks they've found the perfect victim, someone isolated, someone kind, someone who won't fight back. What they don't realize is that loners aren't victims, they're just people who haven't reached their limit yet. And when they do, game over. No drama, no revenge, no looking back, just peace. And that's the power toxic people never see coming. The quiet, permanent exit of someone who finally chose themselves.